You know that feeling, right? You're trying to plan a trip, and the price just feels like a complete and total mystery. Well, today, we are pulling back that curtain to show you exactly how the global travel machine really works. I mean, one minute that flight to Spain looks totally affordable, and the next, bam, it's shot up. The hotel you were eyeing is suddenly a bargain, or maybe it's doubled in price. It's super frustrating, and we've all been there. But here's the thing, it's not random. There's a powerful system pulling the strings behind the scenes.
The best way to think about it is like a giant, super complex machine with all these gears and levers that are constantly moving, all working together to set that final price you pay. So in this explainer, we're going to take apart this machine and look at its two main components: the forces that pull you, the traveler, and the forces that shape the destination itself.
All right, first up, let's tackle demand. This is all about the big, global factors that influence our collective desire and, let's be honest, our ability to pack our bags and go explore the world. You can almost think of the global economy as the master switch on this whole machine. See, when the economy's humming along, people have more cash, they feel more confident, and that translates directly into more travel. But when a crisis hits or inflation goes crazy, travel is usually the first luxury that gets cut. So, while the big global economy kind of sets the stage, exchange rates, well, that's where it really hits your wallet. The shifting value of your money against another country's can literally change the cost of your trip overnight, without a single hotel or airline actually changing their prices. And this is where it gets really interesting, because it's a two-way street. Let's take the British pound as an example. When the pound is weak, that's fantastic news for anyone holding dollars or euros. Suddenly, their money goes way further, making a trip to London a total bargain. Now flip that around. If you're a Brit wanting to travel abroad, your weaker pound buys less, making that trip way more expensive. It's this constant, delicate dance. But, it's not just about the money. You've got these other huge forces that can change everything in an instant. A global pandemic can literally shut down travel overnight. Political unrest can make an entire region a no-go zone. And on the flip side, you have shifting trends, like the huge boom in sustainable tourism, creating brand new travel hotspots. And that, of course, there are the mega events. We're talking about the Olympics, the World Cup. For a brief, intense period, the entire world is focused on one city, creating this unbelievable, concentrated spike in the desire to be right there. I mean, just look at the numbers. A host city can see hotel occupancy jump by 90% or even more. That is basically a tidal wave of demand crashing down on one city. And as we're about to see, that has a massive impact on prices. Okay, so that's the whole demand side of the equation. Now let's flip things around and look at the other side of this machine, supply. This is all about the availability of flights, hotel rooms, and all the services you need once you get to your destination. You probably don't think about it much, but those massive international hotel chains don't just spring up out of nowhere. A lot of the time, they're built thanks to something called foreign direct investment, or FDI. That's just a fancy way of saying companies from one country pour money into building stuff, like hotels, in another country. It's the financial engine behind so many of the places we love to stay. And believe me, the connection is super direct. The more foreign investment a place gets, the more hotel rooms become available. This floods the market with more options, which drives up competition and gives travelers like you and me more choices, often at better prices. But hey, supply isn't just about how many beds are available, it's about the whole experience, right? Global labor mobility. That's why you might find an amazing French chef working in a hotel in Dubai. International environmental policies. They're the reason your resort might be pushing greener practices, which can sometimes be more expensive. And of course, you've got these gigantic tech platforms like Booking.com that have completely revolutionized how we even find these places. And just like everything else these days, the travel world is totally at the mercy of global supply chains. So if there's a shortage of steel, new hotel construction gets delayed, supply stays tight. If the cost of shipping food and wine skyrockets, the hotel's restaurant bill gets more expensive. And where does that cost end up? It gets passed on to you, the guest. So we've got all these forces pulling travelers to a place, and all these other forces shaping what that place is. Now, for the really cool part, let's see what happens when these two sides of the machine finally collide. And it all boils down to one of the most fundamental rules in economics. Basically, if a ton of people want something and there isn't much of it to go around, the price goes up. If there's a whole lot of something available that not many people want, the price goes down. That right there is the central gear of our entire global travel machine. So let's see this in action. When a big financial crisis hits, what happens?
Demand tanks and prices drop. But then you get something like the Olympics. Demand goes through the roof and prices surge. A favorable exchange rate makes a destination way more attractive, so demand increases and, you guessed it, prices start to climb.
Okay, theory is one thing, but let's make this really concrete. Let's throw a real-world scenario into our machine and see what spits out on the other side.
All right, condition number 1. Let's say global oil prices start to climb. Right away, we know that's going to hit transportation costs, especially the price of your flight.
Okay, but now let's throw a wrench in the works. Condition number 2, a recession hits Europe. That's a huge chunk of the world's tourists who are suddenly tightening their belts and staying home. And just to make it really interesting, let's add one more twist. Condition number 3, the British pound takes a nosedive, making it a much cheaper destination for anyone holding, say, a stronger currency like the US dollar. So, you're planning that trip to the UK. What's the final verdict on the price? Well, it's complicated. On one hand, that weak pound is a huge win for you. Your hotels, your meals, your shopping is all going to be cheaper. But on the other hand, rising oil prices are jacking up your flight cost. Plus, the hotels themselves are paying more for their own energy, and they might pass that cost on to you. What you end up with is this constant tug of war between all these different global forces. And honestly, that is the single biggest thing to take away from all of this. The price of your vacation is never about just one thing. It's the result of this massive, interconnected global machine, with dozens of gears turning at the exact same time, all affecting that final number.
So there you have it. Now you know how the machine works. You can see these forces playing out in the news every single day. So now you're not just looking at prices, you're looking behind them. You're a much smarter traveler. So, knowing all this, what's the next big global shift you're going to be watching for before you book your next getaway?